Hi, everybody. I'm Sean, co-founder and CTO at Cerebras, and with me today is Nish, who is SVP and runs our core engineering group. And we are so excited to launch Cerebras Inference today. And we're here actually backstage, literally backstage, at the HotChips conference, where I will be speaking in about 45 minutes, going into how we implement inference on our WaferScale architecture. We know there's been a lot of questions and interest from the community, and this has been really, really exciting. And so we're going to take a moment today and answer some of your questions.
How does inference work on the Cerebras chip?
On our WSA3 chip, we've got 44 gigabytes of on-chip memory. So the way we perform inference on this chip is that we actually lay out the layers in your model spatially across the chip, and that allows us to leverage the massive internal memory bandwidth we have within here to accelerate inference. And for inference, we all know that memory bandwidth is key.
Will Cerebras support Llama 405B?
So right now at launch, we're supporting 8B and 70B, but shortly after launch, we're going to be supporting 405B as well as a collection of other models. We are really excited to be able to build off of all of the technology that we've built for training to be able to support a variety of models. And we're really looking for the community also to help us decide where we should focus our attention and put out the models that have the biggest impact. 405B is absolutely on that list.
What was one surprising thing about optimizing inference on the Cerebras chip?
We were able to get the Llama models working within a week by leveraging our compiler technology that we've already had and built over many years. Since then, we've done a whole bunch of work to optimize this thing for latency and improve the performance. There's a lot more coming.
What about other architectures like Statespace models?
For inference, we actually built our solution not by hand coding the models to run on our chip. Instead, we adapted our existing training compiler to map inference models to our chip. So we already support Statespace models for training, so we already support that for inference.
Will Cerebras support fine-tuned models?
Yeah, absolutely. Those will be coming shortly after launch as well. In fact, we're working with many customers already who use their own domain-specific data to take these open source models like Llama to the next level to adapt them to their own use cases. And oftentimes, that takes the model to a level of accuracy and performance, which is well beyond anything that you can get even with a much larger model. So we've seen firsthand how important fine-tuned models are, and we plan to support this in our service shortly after launch.
What are some unique ways you see your technology being utilized?
Yeah, Nish, you were just talking about how your 5-year-old son is using Gen AI to learn about, black holes or something, right? It's like just mind-blowing, like how capable and how pervasive this can be.
Yeah, so education is huge for me. He is using generative AI to learn things much, much more quickly than I ever did. So that's something I did not expect, and I'm very happy about. And I think
he knows more about astronomy than I know.
Probably, and myself as well. So I'm super excited about that. I think it's only going to continue. It's going to be huge.
One of the areas that I feel is still somewhat untapped is the impact on really fundamental human areas like healthcare. There's already kind of the obvious things like using AI for radiology and things like that, which has been awesome, right? But I feel like we're really just at the beginning, and some of the really, really interesting work on like genomic models and things like that, I think is going to unlock a whole new impact on kind of fundamental societal level, which I'm really, really looking forward to.
1,800 tokens per second. That's like my Llama starts replying before I finish my prompt.
It's that fast. It's instant. This is why we think that this is going to revolutionize this entire inference space, because if you're sitting there and waiting for the response to come out, it limits all the different use cases that you can support. And the entire industry is moving to agentic workflows, which require multiple model calls, even for a single user response. And so you really need that instantaneous response to be able to even support these more complicated, more accurate agentic workflows. And so in a lot of ways, this is exactly where we believe the entire AI community needs to move to be able to unlock that next generation of Gen AI inference.
What are you most looking forward to as a result of announcing inference?
I'm excited just to hear the feedback, right? Performance, the accuracy, the new applications that people are going to build.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, Nish. I think we're all hardware geeks, and so we're really excited about high throughput numbers and high X factors and all that. But what really gets us excited is to see what all this is going to enable. When we talk about how we're doing GPU impossible work, is that we're going to enable workloads and new applications that just weren't even possible before. And so beyond the big X factors and the big numbers, that's what I'm really excited about.
What inspired you to create the WaferScale engine?
When we started the company, we had a vision to drastically change the landscape of compute for AI. And our insight at the time was that we were just at the very beginning of a massive demand for compute. This was just a year or two after AlexNet was created, when he figured out how to use GPUs to run neural networks. And all of a sudden, these neural networks were doing things they could have never done before. As a computer architect, that was like a light bulb moment, because that's exactly what you're looking for, is when you have this really tight dependency between the workload and the underlying infrastructure and the hardware, where without each other, you're not going to be able to do something. And that's really the genesis of Cerebras and the WaferScale engine. We knew we needed to go big, and we literally went as big as possible. And the rest is history.
How can I get Cerebras to take notice and give me an API key?
Well, to start, we are limiting the number of users because of the super heavy demand that you all have generated. And so if you have really interesting use cases, feel free to reach out to us through our Cerebras.ai website and tell us about some of the really cool use cases that you guys are interested in exploring. We've already seen some mind-blowing demos and examples running on our Instant AI. If you have some really interesting use cases like that, we would love to work with you and enable you to do something that you couldn't do before.
What inspires you to innovate?
Want to take that?
So I joined the company because 5 years ago, to the day pretty much, right, Sean announced the WaferScale engine. And I joined because I knew that I could make this thing fly, right, with the help of our large team here. And this is already kind of answered that question for me.
When we started the company and we were really trying to do something revolutionary, this is exactly the kind of thing we were thinking about, right? Is not to build something that's 10 or 15% better than what's out there, but something that's orders of magnitude better than what's out there. Because only with that kind of revolutionary change can we really unlock a lot of this unknown and revolutionary kind of new applications. And so I'm really excited to see this happening, and being a big part of it is, I couldn't be more proud.